Moving on to Western manga, aka comic books. Mostly Marvel and DC news here. Probably, to me, all these things are pretty big. But the biggest one is we are going to get a Marvel and DC Comics crossover.
Yeah, that's
insane.
Been a long time.
Long time coming. We have not had anything for this since the late 80s, early 90s of a 4-issue comic, which was Marvel versus DC, followed by something called the Amalgam Universe, which is you take one Marvel character and mix it with a DC character. So that's where certain characters like Lobo the Duck exists, Iron Hammer.
Yep.
You have, can't remember what its name, but there's a Wolverine Batman mix. There's a Superman and
what a
Superman
combo
mix. Superman and Captain America mix. There's a Superboy and Spider-Man mix. Anyways, it's a fun little series. But yeah, that's huge news. So there are going to be 2 titles, 2 one-shots. One will be titled Marvel DC, which will come under the Marvel Comics title, and the other one will be DC Marvel, obviously under the DC Comics title.
What do you think what do you think brought this together? I think that it's more of a we scratch your back, you're scratching our back, trying just to. I'm sure comics maybe aren't doing as
That's exactly what
well
it is.
as both editor-in-chiefs are wanting in terms of
100%
both
agree.
sales.
For me personally, that I think that's what it is, especially with Diamondback, I think is the full name, Diamondback Publishing, which is a company that does a lot of third-party comics that aren't Marvel or DC,
right?
Went bankrupt. So now there's a lot of like big titles that are struggling to get out. Comic book store owners are struggling to find new
comics
titles.
getting more and more expensive.
Comics are expensive, especially in Canada with the exchange rate and everything else that's going on in the world.
Printings are becoming less and less.
Exactly. It's unfortunate because someone like you and I, we used to collect comics all the time.
It's very expensive.
Very expensive. So if you're listening to this, go support your local comic book store. Keep them afloat. They love to talk. They love to see people.
Yeah, it's a community. It's more than just reading.
Exactly. And speaking of comic book issues, by the time this episode comes out, technically today, there will be a new issue underneath DC Comics that's coming out called Absolute Flash. Now, this is something they've been doing for a little bit now at the Absolute Universe. There's Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Those are the 3 titles right now. Now, I've read all those, and they are phenomenal. Some better than others, but like Wonder Woman lives on an island with Cersei because all the Amazons are dead, and her like.
Is this all in the same universe?
All in the same universe.
So is this like a year one kind of universe,
think of it as
or
the
Ultimate Universe Spider-Man
equivalent to DC?
Okay.
Because this is like Batman is middle class in this universe, where his mom is still alive, and some of his best friends growing up are Caldwell. Like it's all like the Penguin, Riddler. He's best friends with Harvey, Catwoman. They're all like good friends. So it's like there's not really like a lot of the big bads that we know aren't the big bads yet.
Right.
If they are going to come, that we don't really know. Superman, he landed on Earth when he was like closer to his 20s, and Lois Lane is part of the
so
government.
more Supergirl kind of.
Yeah, and then Wonder Woman is like doesn't like coming like to main like island or anything like that, and she controls like undead zombies, and like it's pretty extreme. This Absolute Flash issue comes up March 19th, where it's going to be Wally West, no other Flash family, no Speed Force.
No Speed Force.
Slight spoiler alert, Barry Allen isn't it, and he's just a random scientist. Like
I assume by no other Flash family.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun.
How do you feel about Wally West, though, compared to Barry Allen? Like, do you lean one way or the other?
I mean, I was a big fan of the Flash TV show, so Barry Allen is my go-to answer for that. But I know anyone that's watched the Justice League Unlimited show will be like Wally West.
Has a special spot for Wally, for sure.
Yeah.
I think
they both got their strengths and they both got their weaknesses.
Yes, for sure. I think I like Barry mostly due to a lot of his stories, though.
Yeah. He was back to being the Flash in New 52 when we were reading the comics.
And he got Flashpoint, which was a great story.
Changes everything of the DC universe.
A lot of his volumes were also great during the New 52 for sure. I really enjoyed them.
But otherwise, the week after that, we get Absolute Martian Manhunter issue #1, which
Love me some Martian Manhunter, yeah.
FBI agent John Jones' body gets taken over by an alien consciousness referred to as the Martian, causing him to go slowly crazy and being brought into an alien war. So obviously, again, right there, that's a different take on Martian Manhunter completely. And then week after that, we got Absolute Green Lantern #1, which is going to be following Joe Melanie, who is a new Earth Green Lantern in the comics. Then you got Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner.
This is kind of funny that the absolute Flash is like, this is the Flash. No other Flash. We go to Green Lantern. And it's like,
Here's
okay,
everybody
here's
else.
every single Green Lantern you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and we're adding a new one.
And we're adding a new one. She got out of the comics, I think, a couple of years ago in a storyline called Far Sector. I haven't personally read it because I just feel like there's too many Earth Green Lanterns now.
Yeah, we don't have enough. It
But-
feels like the Green Lantern is like a sector, right? That's where
Yeah.
there's, and it feels like the sector doesn't truly need that many Green Lanterns
No, it really
in comparison to the greater universe.
doesn't. No, the
So it's
big
wild
thing-
that we have this many human Green Lanterns at
the
this
big
point.
thing that happened at the beginning of Rebirth is the fact that they kicked all the Earth Green Lanterns off this sector and was like, listen, you guys don't belong here. Go protect some other sector, please.
Yeah.
Which I was like, you know what? Makes sense. And the last big news in comic book for us is Jeff Loeb returning not only just to DC, but also Marvel Comics
Yes.
for both anniversaries / sequels of some of his biggest stories. So Jeff Loeb, you may know him from Batman Long Halloween for DC. You may know him as the writer of Hush.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard of it.
Like,
Small
Might have
Batman
a
story.
big, but yeah, the anticipated sequel to Hush
With
it's
Jim Lee.
happened with Jim Lee, who's his art is beautiful.
His art is impeccable. It's so good. Some of my favorite stories have Jim Lee's art, and he hasn't been in a lot of comics because he's very involved in running the show.
Yeah,
for
which
DC
Jeff Loeb
Comics.
used to be. He used to be both. I think he helped write Smallville for a bit, and then he actually jumped on and became like one of the higher ups for Marvel Television. So he actually helped with lots of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a lot of the Netflix shows and stuff like that. So yeah, first issue of Hush, the sequel to Hush, comes out at the end of March here. And then another big thing is Jeff Loeb for Marvel. He helped with Age of Apocalypse, which is a huge storyline, and also helped write the first appearance of Red Hulk. Not Theodore Ross, but like Ross becoming
I
Red
mean,
Hulk.
both sounding very, very relevant.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you said, may have not been the exact Red Hulk, but we do have Red Hulk right
Red
now in the
Hulk's
MCU.
now,
And there's a lot of rumors
X-Men
around
are coming.
X-Men. And when there is the X-Men, of course, you have to talk about one of their, if not the most iconic
arguably
villain.
one of the biggest iconic. I mean, one of the Wolverine variants in Deadpool and Wolverine was the Age of Apocalypse one, right? But Age of Apocalypse came out 30 years ago this year. So Jeff Loeb is returning with Simone DeMeo, who's the one that also drew it. So them together are coming back to do a giant size Age of Apocalypse anniversary issue, which is pretty. I'm stoked. Age of Apocalypse is, like you said, it's one of the best memorable.
He's a
X-Men
crazy villain.
storylines.
He's a crazy villain too. Just
Apocalypse, yeah, and they gave him a crazy origin over the last few years of like who his first like Horseman stuff was and how it's like it's kids.
it's kind of
and
funny.
how,
I feel like DC has generally, I think some of their heroes are pretty insanely powered and
Yeah.
they're good. They're great. I mean, I don't want to like diss on Marvel too much, but their counterparts, if they have any, are usually cooler on DC side, or Marvel is inspired by.
Yeah,
But
Apocalypse
X-Men
kinda kills
villains,
it.
some of Marvel's big villains.
Like if you take out like the big Avenger villains like Doctor Doom, Galactus, Red Skull,
But those villains
like-
are villains of other people.
Yeah, that's
that
what I
That
mean.
are just so broken that
Yeah.
they have become Avengers level threats.
exactly. But when you like Apocalypse, huge villain, Onslaught.
Onslaught.
If you don't know
yeah,
who Onslaught
absolutely.
is, it's the
The
mix,
Phoenix.
The Phoenix, huge one as well. I mean, Avengers versus X-Men. That was
Yeah.
the whole premise
Oh
of
man,
that, right?
I would love.
Oh,
I'd be both scared but so excited.
that would
You know what I mean?
That would be an equivalent of an Avatar movie.
It's
on
like
a
when
budget.
Civil War got announced, and I was like,
Well, early, but let's do it. I mean, they killed it, Civil War.
they
but
did a great job with
the MCU.
what they could do.
Yeah.
Obviously, they couldn't do to a T the original Civil War story,
Yeah.
which I love. I love the original Civil War story, but
Yeah, and Avengers versus X-Men would be insane.
it would be
as
so
fuck.
hype.
That one, I'd be like, let's get a part 1, part 2. Like,
How good of an introduction would that be, maybe for the X-Men?
I
Having
think
an introduction of an X-Men, like mutants, and then already having a conflict.
right off the bat, it would be great.
And it'd be so interesting because we would have Sam Wilson's Captain America like leading the charge.
Yeah,
So already there would be that MCU twist, which How would Sam handle
There's
it?
stuff that happened in Avengers vs. X-Men, which unfortunately we won't get.
The drama of Black Panther and Storm.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that is such a like they get a divorce over it. Other big things is that we won't get to see how like Beast and Wolverine feel because they've been on both teams.
Yeah.
So there's like minor things we don't really get to see.
Well,
but
it's similar to remember when Civil War first got announced, we're like, but there's no Spider-Man. Spider-Man plays
Yeah.
such a big role. And Spider-Man did end up being
Being a
part of
good
it.
role,
And
yeah.
that was super exciting that he did get casted and we knew that he was going to be in the film. But his role was nowhere near what it
No,
was
impactful.
in the Civil War comics, but it was still exciting.
Yeah.
So even though maybe some of the drama would be left, the hype of having the X-Men alone is already great in the MCU, but to like see them, there's something that's just crazy about seeing the heroes versus heroes.
Yeah, I do think that doesn't really happen too much in DC. Like, there's obviously the Justice League versus Teen Titans and like
The Batman story where he takes out but that's more because the Justice League is taken over,
yeah,
right? Like
Like, we never really see, in my opinion, like, because really in DC we have the Justice League,
mhm,
and then we have like minor teams like the Sirens or
Teen Titans.
the
Yeah.
Green Lanterns. Even like we're never gonna see the Justice League fight the Green Lanterns.
There was that movie, the Justice League versus Teen Titans,
That was based off a couple issues of a comic, yeah.
but they're never as political
Yeah.
or like dramatic, right? Like
Yeah,
X-Men versus Avengers, there's a lot going on within that politics for
Yeah.
for the universe.
I feel like
Civil War, huge political differences within the Avengers.
when it comes to DC, it's always like Superman, sorry, has his own issues with the Kryptonians. Batman has his own issues in Gotham. The Green Lanterns have issues in space. Flash,
And
has
then when
got
we have a
stuff
big
in-
villain, then we
They all
bring
come
we
together.
call the Justice League.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Oh, Darkseid's back."
Yeah, but we're never gonna get like the politics of like.
No, it's more of like, "Oh, you've been enjoying your Superman story, your Batman story. Hey, we're going to throw in a little bit of tidbits being like, "Oh, there's something else going on. Something weird Brainiac is
Yeah.
doing, putting your universes in jars."
I would say excluding Injustice. That would
Excluding
be the one
Inju-
thing that kind of goes like heroes versus
But and
heroes. But
they played into the fact that it was a fighting game.
Yeah.
Which heroes versus heroes.
yeah, outside of that, I can't think of anything on top of my head.
Let us know
But-
if you're a huge comic book reader. Give us some DC backstory. What are some of the big stories you liked where
Heroes are fighting
Heroes are fighting heroes.
Not necessarily brainwashed either. Like if they're brainwashed, I feel like that's a cop out.
yeah, it's not the same.
But I just want like good like
Drama.
You know,
What caused them to
yeah.
not get along?
I guess at the beginning of New 52 Just League Origins, like in that volume, it was just them getting to know each other, right? So like I think Green Lantern fought Batman for a quick sec.
Well, you have Batman.
But-
Obviously, you have Batman facing Superman in one of the most iconic
Yeah.
comics, but it's
Still.
like its own universe, kind of, and
yeah,
its
Civil
own.
War, Avengers vs. X-Men were at least
Like they were taking place in the main
on
continuity.
Earth 616, yeah.